I know very few people in this country can say this and mean it, but I honestly love my job. I love what I do, and I love the people that I work with. The pay is great, the advancements are there, and the work is just as exciting as you make it. I mean, I work for YouTube, that should sum it up. So that's why I wasn't all too quick to call off from work the morning of April 3rd, even though I woke up feeling a little under the weather. I went to work that morning as I always did, but it didn't take long before my condition began to worsen. I felt myself getting sicker and sicker as minutes turned into hours. I thought I could tough it out if I kept busy, but that seemed to have an adverse effect. By noon, I was completely drained of energy, feeling lightheaded, and the onset of an unshakable chill was my body's warning indicator that I was possibly on the verge of getting a fever. It was 12:30 on the dot when I spoke to my boss and asked him if it was okay if I clocked out early. I remember the time exactly because I wanted to stay at least until 12:30 to cover half of my shift. The instant the time on my phone read 12:30, I picked up the desk phone and called my boss and cleared everything with him. It took me 4 minutes to gather my things and get downstairs, which was how long it normally took me to get to the main lobby from my desk. And from the main lobby, it would take me another 3 minutes to make it to my car. As I was heading out of the building, I noticed a woman who appeared to be lost. I felt like shit, but as it always did, a spark of energy hit me when I saw what looked to be an attractive female all by herself in my vicinity. She looked lost, and that was the angle I was going to work to approach her. The second I got near her, though, I discovered she wasn't what I expected. I mean, she wasn't ugly, but she just wasn't my type. So as my internal spark of flirtation dramatically faded and the shitty feeling of sickness reemerged, I prepared myself to walk directly past her without saying a word, but she looked so lost and confused I decided to say something. I said hello to her and asked her if she needed help with anything, and she told me that she was supposed to be interviewing for a job here, and that she was running late and really didn't know where to go. That wasn't all that uncommon to come across. There's been several times where I had to help hopeful interviewers find their way around. Normally all I do is send them to the front desk and tell them to check in, but since the woman looked so panicked and worried about being potentially late, I broke protocol and asked her what floor she was interviewing on. When she told me the floor, I was slightly surprised because that was the same floor I worked on. I also knew that my boss was looking to fill a handful of positions too. Wanting to be helpful, I told her she'd be able to save time if she went through the parking garage instead of going to the main desk and took the elevator straight up. I gave her step-by-step instructions on how to get to my boss's office. She thanked me and told me how grateful she was for my help, and I told her it was no problem and wished her good luck on her interview. She went on her way, moving at a fast walking pace en route for the parking garage. I headed onto my car, and that was that. I was less than a mile away when I got a notification on my phone that one of my friends from work was live streaming. I found that weird, but didn't think much of it and kept driving. Then several more notifications came up and I immediately recognized that all of them were coming from my coworkers. I pulled over to further investigate what was going on, and that's when I first learned of the horrifying ordeal that had taken place. I initially tried to head back to the HQ, and I don't know why, cause it wasn't like I could do anything to help. I guess I just wanted to see what was going on with my own two eyes. By the time I got there, police were already on the scene and redirecting traffic away from the YouTube building. That was all the validation I needed. I went home in a total state of shock and confusion and turned on my television to see if the news had any breaking details. They did, and what I saw left me feeling numb from head to toe. The face of the same woman I helped earlier and directed towards the garage was plastered on the screen. She had shot 3 people, 2 of which were good friends of mine before taking her own life. As more details poured in over the hours about how she was a disgruntled content creator for YouTube who was hell-bent on revenge for having what she felt was improper restrictions placed on her channel, I found myself thinking of only 2 things. The first was how fortunate I was to get sick and clock out when I did. Who knows what could have happened if I stayed a minute longer. But the second thought that plagued me more than the other as time went on was what would have happened had I not helped her by telling her how to avoid checking in at the main desk. I mean, I pretty much gave a mad gunman backdoor entrance into their target site. So not only am I physically sick, now I'm legitimately sick with grief. And if that's not bad enough, I'm now mentally wrestling with whether or not I should come forward and tell police about how I inadvertently aided that crazy bitch by giving her access into the building. I'm sure that won't cost me my job. And for those of you who couldn't hear it in my voice, I was being sarcastic there. I'm fairly certain this will absolutely cost me my job, and this is exactly why I'm not nice to strangers I'm not attracted to. I try to help someone out and they end up being a lunatic who shoots 3 innocent people, kills themselves, and possibly costs me the career of my dreams. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad I'm alive and safe and able to share my story with you, and I truly do hope that the 3 victims pull through okay. I even feel bad for the family of the shooter and send them equal prayers. But in the end, I wish I would have just kept my ass in bed that fateful morning. Maybe things would have turned out differently. Maybe they wouldn't have. But at least my name wouldn't be mixed up in all this crazy shit. All I know for certain is that I'm way too sick for this bullshit. But I guess I better head down to the police station and straighten this shit out now before they pull the surveillance footage, see me talking to the shooter, and come kicking down my front door to nab me as her co-conspirator. If this ends up costing me my job in the long run, I'm gonna officially be up shit creek. Because I'm pretty sure no other major tech companies would ever hire the guy who accidentally helped the YouTube HQ shooter.